Hi, it's Simon. Welcome back to Better Creating. My Notion task and project management system is the single most powerful tool that I've built in Notion to manage my life, full stop. I'm showing you how to build it on this series of videos, and this is video 2 in that series on the Task Manager. It's part of a wider Notion from Scratch series where I'm building a complete life management system in Notion with you so you can learn the fundamentals of Notion at the same time as building truly powerful elements like habit trackers, goal setting systems, notebooks, knowledge banks, the whole shebang. And this task and project management element is probably the fundamental core to that whole system. And of course, you can always check out my complete Notion templates on Gumroad and my website if you're looking for a tested Notion setup to get you started. So if you're turning up here new, I highly recommend jumping back to the first video on the Task Manager. I've linked it below and above, and get stuck into the build. You can also take this much further with videos 3 and 4, which are available to download on Gumroad and on my website. As soon as they're available, you'll see them there, so sign up to the mailing list and I'll notify you when they're available. Videos 3 and 4 share some of the real secrets that have made my system so powerful. At the same time, you're supporting me and the channel to keep making this content. Included in that, my favorite thing, subtasks and main tasks with reports and progress bars all in one database. That's powerful. And we all love them, recurring tasks. My favorite up-to-date version using the API and a number of services. I go into depth about how to create recurring tasks in a way that really works with Notion. Fingers crossed that soon we'll also get integration with things like Google Calendar. I think that's coming soon, and I'll show you how to do that on this series when it's there. So in this part of the build, we'll go further with the project reports, creating that weekly review board where you can keep track of your projects and know when they need to be automatically looked at. And secondly, we'll dive into the action dashboard on the main home screen, the most important part for managing things day to day. We'll make weekly board views by both date and by tag if you want to do it in the analog way, just like my simplified Notion template. And we'll go a little bit further and show you how to create a completed task bin. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to create this global system menu so you can jump back and forth. I think you're going to love the rest of this build. Let's dive in and get stuck in. As a quick recap, in the last video, we built the task database, we built the projects database, and I showed you how tasks are ticked off and hidden from view so that that checkbox or status box works brilliantly. I also helped you build a project dashboard, the beginnings of that. We also, in the previous video, set up the fundamentals of the weekly review system. And next, what we will do is start to look at how we can create a reporting view for that so that it filters the projects that are due for review on the project dashboard. Let's go. You might have noticed I have this rather cool little emoji menu on my existing template that lets me jump between the different dashboards. Well, here's how to do that if you want to add it to your system. Let's go back to this. There's my inspirational quote. I've got to think of one. I'm going to drop in underneath this. I'm going to do /sync. Synced block. A synced block means you can create one on the home screen, then copy and paste it into any other page, and the same content will appear. It's like a window to the same content. So that's perfect for creating global menus. Now that we have our first dashboard in this complete Notion from scratch build of our Life OS, we may as well put some links in. So I'm going to put in here, you could just call it home, double click it and turn it into a link. But I really like using emojis. So let's put in a home, then I'm going to go space, do this little line, shift backspace for me, and let's do another /emoji. We want our projects, so let's do folder, there you go, put the folder in. We're going to select home and link to this home screen, which is called that, and we're going to link to this to the projects dashboard, which is called that. I'm going to copy and sync, go to the projects dashboard, drop a little space in, drop it in. Now look, home, projects, and it works beautifully. I also quite like dropping it down and going dash to put a line in, and then you also have this nice clean view of the line cutting across the space, so it always stays looking like that. That is how you create a global menu in your system. Finally, within this projects dashboard section, I want to put a weekly review report. So what's really exciting about the weekly review is that you can see when something is due. So for example, in my project, I can then go in, I'll see these related tasks, I can see any notes of stuff that's linked to the specific project that I've created. I can also see, as you'll see later on, different reports on the project status like this, but that's for the future. But what's great is if I go up to my projects dashboard, I can also have a little weekly review view. So inserting that in is really simple. You can just filter this by the next review date being checked. And you can also sort it by the ascending time that they're due. Let's just drop that into the projects dashboard as well. So let's do it again, / create link database view. I want the projects. I want to hide the review due. I want to hide the related tasks. I want to hide the review frequency. I think I've clearly started that, haven't I? Move that back. This I want to hide. And I want to hide that. Great, so that is a simple view. I think with this it's worth hiding the database title by clicking on the dots of projects and hiding that, and rename it to be projects for review. We're also going to do, it's always quite tricky to find a place to do this, I'm going to return, get a little box, drop it in there, and go / h3 weekly review report, do / color, make the background grey again. I quite like that, nice and clean. You could also, of course, do that on your projects dashboard like that, and do current projects. A good little trick, / turn means turn it into heading 3. Look at that, love it. Cull. Great. Projects overview. Now, the weekly review report, we want to filter, and we're going to filter by review due. And I want it to be checked. And that means that anything that is due for review will turn up, anything else won't be there. When you have reviewed a project, you would just click in to here and select the current date or the date that you reviewed it on, and it would disappear and be ready for the next one. Really brilliant way of keeping an eye on things. You could put this on your home screen if you wanted to. It would be really easy to do. And in fact, I'm going to rename that and put a little emoji in to make it look nice. Magnify glass. There you go. So you could drop that wherever you like. Fantastic. So you've got your inbox, you've got your task capture, your 2 databases, and a way of jumping between the different places on your menu, and most excitingly, in your project dashboard, you've got a weekly review report and your current projects as well as completed projects. Let's just say, for example, we went into here and marked this as done. It would turn up in completed projects, but I don't want to do that because I'm still bungee jumping. Nice. If I go back to my original version that I built, what we're going to build is this week view. So we've got an analog view, not by date, but by a kind of board view of days. We have a this week view by due date, which is filters by the calendar, and a task list, which works things out in days. So for example, if I set this one for today, you will see we have a today view pop up. I really like the way this works because it allows us to kind of see what's coming up, you know, today, tomorrow, and so on and so forth, and look at the specific day we're on. So you can see what was overdue and you can see what you've planned for the day. And this would be the view where I would want to, for example, go, this one is my one thing, and it would order stuff, because you can see here, if I make this one quick first tasks, it jumps up above it because we've set a filter for that. Pretty cool. Right, we better get on with it. Let's just close up my menu so we can see what we're doing. We've got our new task area here under capture. I'm going to emulate this. So I'm going to do / H3 again. I like H3, it's a good size. You could do H1, H2, they're bigger. I just find this looks quite good. And we're going to call that action. I want it to echo this. So we're going to do / color, and we're going to go down and pick a blue background. We're going to do / create link database view again. And into here, well, we want to be actioning things. So if we are working on tasks and projects, it's the tasks that we're going to be ticking off. So we're going to select the tasks database. There it is. First of all, I want to create the analog view for the managing of projects. So we're going to rename this and call this week analog. And again, if you want to make it look nice, you can also put an emoji in there. There it is, look, this week analog. Now, I would say that since we've called that the table, this could actually be called add to this week. So you might want to change the name of that column. Now then, it means that, let's just do this first of all. It's a really good idea when building this, you'll find out in a moment why, to put a task in for every day of the week, just so you know it's working. Okay, so there they all are. We're going to go to the little dots on the view and we're going to select layout. And you're going to use a board view. If you've been following this series, the first time we've used a board view, as you can see, this is currently doing the board view by our daily priority. Now you can of course create loads of views in here, stuff by priority. A really nice one actually to do is by context. In order to do this, you would just go back out to the layout, you would select the group and you would group by whatever one you want it to be. So if I do it by context, it will just give me a massive list of all the contexts we have. But we want to go group by add to this week, and you'll see that it has the days. Now the visible groups are here. You can hide any empty groups. I don't want to do that. You could color the columns if you like the look of that. And then all you're going to want to do is just move the days into the right order. I just like putting the tasks in there to be sure it turns up, and it's going to be something you need to do for the date section of this, definitely. But that's done. There you go. It also helps us see what we can see within that group. So if we go back out, you're probably also going to go back out from group, which is where you managed that, go to properties, work out what you want to show. You could show the due date if you want to see the date that you've also got it set for, but in this, that doesn't make sense because we're not doing it by due date, so I wouldn't show that. What I would potentially do is show deadline, but then again, it doesn't give us a kind of good explanation, so we're going to use one of those concat formulas to create a deadline report later on. So let's remove that. You might want to add context. I think that's quite nice, and you definitely want to add done, because you want to know if it's done, you want to tick it off. Do you want to also see the project it's related to? Probably. So that's how I would do it. I would drop that in, and the order you put these in is how you see it. I think that project should be at the top, and then the context if it has it, and then whether it's done or not. It's as simple as that. Now, remember, if you click done, it doesn't disappear. You're going to want that, so you're going to need to filter. I would do a couple of different filters. Let's add an advanced filter. The first one is you want to filter where add is not empty, and this is why we put the days in. So for example, if I go into here and test it, if I remove Wednesday, it disappears. Great, it's working. So that is the first important filter that you have. The second important filter is, we go back into that filter, add another filter, and where done is unchecked. You can do it either way around, or you could do is not checked, right? And that is the other obvious reason that you want to be able to go, it's done, and it disappears. Fantastic. There you go. That is your analog list. So you're also going to want to do one by date. So let's just drop that in for now. So we're going to add a new view. We're going to find tasks. Let's use this week analog as a basis for it. We are then, however, going to go here, click group, and we don't want to be grouping by the analog thing. We want to be grouping by due date. It's not bad. Look, you get this view of like, if it's got no date and if it's yesterday or whenever. I would hide the no date view. And then we've just literally got the days that things have been given dates for. I'm just going to quickly go into my tasks and give some things a due date so that we know what we're talking about. And in fact, this is an exact point where you want to put them in the week you're currently in, and it goes from Monday to Sunday. So I'm going to make sure that I've got one for every day of the week. If we go back, you're going to need that to know if it works. It's only giving you the last 7 days and yesterday. And this is a big problem for how to create this view. However, if you see over here, if I go to the one I've already made, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So how have I done that? Well, I've actually got a dedicated video on this, and we're going to put it into the build now anyway. If we go into my tasks, into the database, what you'll see is a number of things that we've created, which is a day of the week, which is a formula, and whether or not it is this day. So we're going to have to put those formulas in. Now to do that, first of all, let's rename our thing so we know what it is. This is going to be this week by date. and I would change the icon so it makes a bit more sense. If we do calendar, that's nice. So we're going to need to create a column that we can create these by. So I suggest you go into your tasks database. You can go via this if you want. We're going to create a new column and make it a formula. And this is going to be called day of the week, brackets, due date. Let's just put them all in. We're going to want another formula. And we want to call that one due date this week. So we're asking if it is. Now, the formula for day of the week is really simple. All you're going to put in is format date and then select the space afterwards, and you want to do due date, comma, and how you want it to display, and I want it in days, so I'm going to do 4 of those, close the brackets, and it tells you that. There you go, that just formats it. So for example, you could do that, and it'll go choose. I like it with the 4 Ds in the parentheses. That is that. Copy that if you need it, click done, and you see it's now giving us the day of the week. So that's a good start. That's just based on the date property over here. Then we want to know whether that date is within this week. If we look at the original version I did, I would suggest you just copy what I've got here. It basically says format date, as we did, and propose the due date. And you want to do it by week. If you do that as a small w, it will run the week from, I think, Sunday to Saturday. If you do a big W, it goes Monday to Sunday. So I would always use a capital W. You close the brackets, and that needs to be equal to now in weeks. Is it true? If so, this week. If not, not this week. It's a bit of a complex formula if we're brand new to it, but that is how you need to do it. So I am literally, for my sake as well, going to copy that, pause the video, copy it into your system, make sure that the titling of your page is exactly the same, including the emoji and all of that, otherwise it won't work. So what I'm going to do is copy this and drop it into mine. You can see it's not working, and that is because this is wrong, but mine is just literally called due date, and it works. And it's just proposing this week or not this week. And that then gives us, for example, if I make this task a different week, you can prove that it's not the current week, and you can also check where it thinks the week starts and ends. So the week clearly starts from there through to there. Look at that, brilliant. So we know it's working. The other thing you now need to make sure is you have one of these in every single day of the current week you're in, and that's all ready to go. We're now going to go back to the home screen, and within what we've created, we're going to go to the group, and I want to group now by day of the week. There they are. I want to hide that. I want this to go not alphabetical, but manual. We're going to move them into the right order, Monday, Tuesday. And can you see, because some of them aren't there yet, that we don't have the options to move them. So you're going to need to make sure that you've got that available. You don't want to hide empty groups. And then we want the text to be exact, and then it will actually show you the days. If you've not got them coming up, I would suggest that you go back into your tasks and you just make sure that you've set dates for the days that you don't have. See, there's my Wednesday, so it takes a little bit of doing. Another way to do it, the days you don't have, if you've not got Thursday, click into here, make the due date for Thursday, make the due date for that one, Sunday. See, they're coming up there. Go to group, Thursday goes in. It's a little bit of a job, but once you've got it, and can make sure again that that is hidden, no days. And there you go, you now have your view. You can also, within the board view, you might like to go in, go to layout, and make sure that the card preview is the page cover. The thing about that is it makes the list very long, but you could make them small, that will help. It depends how you want to see it. That's an option. You could fit the image if you want to. I don't want to do that. You could even color the columns if you want to, depending on how you want to look at it. Let's go back out from layout. You also want to check what properties you can see. I would add the due date in this so that you can see the day that we're on. And finally, we need to filter this view. So I would go here now and filter. 2 rules. This now needs to be where due this week is this week, which is what we typed in previously. And that now means you have all of the different files are in there. And that's probably why we couldn't see the other ones, because I'd actually forgotten that I'd left it filtered on the analog version. So there you go. Those are the filters you need. Filter by the due date this week, question mark, is this week, and done is not checked. That's it. The final thing you might want to do here is make sure that there's one more filter, which is, and project is not empty. Because of course, you're only filtering stuff in if it's been linked to a project then. And that's very helpful given that otherwise you're going to have all the stuff you put into your task inbox popping up. So if we now add these to projects, you'll see that they are going to come up. Since we've done it, we probably also want to hide these views. There's a little bit of cleaning up you're going to have to do to make sure that it's still looking how you want it to look. But other than that, it's starting to work. And there you go, there's your two board views. So we just need the basics, I think, of a list view of our to-do lists. So let's add one more view here. This time again, it's tasks. I'd like that to be the table. That's pretty good. And actually, this isn't that difficult to do, but it's just about how we set it up. So let's check the filter. I'm going to add an advanced filter here. Again, remember that we want it where related project is not empty. And we also want to add the filter where done is unchecked. I recommend here as well adding a sort by daily priority ascending. And the reason that is because we're going to, in this view, use groups. First of all, you want to go in here and select group. Now, grouping is not just useful for board views, it's also useful for table and list views. It gives you little drop-down toggles. So if we jump across to here and do task list by date, you get these lovely last 7 days, today, tomorrow. Now, I actually find that this is probably my favourite view of managing my tasks, particularly because of this toggle view. And it's very, very easy as well, just to drop things, for example, from today to tomorrow. Just ignore sorting and it does it. That's really satisfying, I find, for managing your tasks. So to do that, if we leave my existing version and go back to this one, we're in group and we want to group by due date. You could obviously do the same and have a deadline view if you wanted. I want to go and you can select by the day if you want, but I really like relative. And relative means that you get these nice last 7 days, yesterday, today, and so on and so forth. Hide empty groups is really important here. And I think it's useful to have sorting the oldest first within this. That's also very, very helpful. Now, the other thing is you want to make sure that you're hiding in the view all the stuff you don't need. So these formulas don't need to be there. Add to this week doesn't need to be there because we're using it by date, so you can hide that. Now, the other thing about the checklists, in a list like this, slide that right down and you just get a tick box. Probably my favourite thing about that. There you go. So we've got the due date. It is an option whether you want to see that or not, but I don't think we need it. Hide that. There's also the option to use what we were using for the other section in properties, if you go into it, and you could select day of the week. And that is quite nice because you can then just see the day like that if you wanted to. Nice little thing. I'm going to leave mine like that, and yeah, I am actually going to keep the dates, property, show the due date, but I'm not enjoying my due date, so I'm going to click into it, click format, date format, and go to day, month, year, which is how I like to see it. I think that's a better view, and we have filtered, I think, by daily priority. So within those groups, you will also see them filtered by daily priority. Great, that's that view, as simple as that. You just probably want to name it, rename, I'm just going to call it to-do list. Do-do list, that's not right. To-do list, better. Now remember, we want to check that that works, it does. Where these go, it's worth having a little think in your systems view. You might want to create a kind of completed tasks bin. So let's just add that in now as well. You can go in the systems menu, /page, because I think this will only be used occasionally, completed tasks bin, add an icon. Clearly, we have to select trash. There you go. I don't think it needs a cover, but I am, because it's very rarely used, but I am going to make it full width. And into this, I'm going to drop create linked database, a linked database view of the tasks. And this view is fine. Completed tasks. Let's sort by due date, ascending. That's pretty nice. We
go most recent to old if you want, go the other way. And I want to finally hide any of this that we don't need. That can be useful to uncheck something if you wanted to. But what I'm gonna simply do is filter this. I bet you can guess this one probably, where done is checked. And that will mean that anything that is checked, if we just go back and check a task and take another look at it, will turn up. Why is this helpful? It means that you can select everything and delete it from here permanently. Now that's, of course, they're not deleted when you check them off, they just are hidden. So this means that you have got somewhere to delete things. Love it. That's it. Let's just go back out and move the completed task bin right down to the bottom because it's probably the least used thing you're gonna have, but that's a really helpful little trick in your task management.
Well, there you go. You have created the fundamentals of a task and project management system that I use day to day. It's helped me grow this channel and build a business and not get too stressed out. So I hope it's doing the same for you. Now, if you want to really take this further, the next stages I think are perhaps the most exciting. Subtasks and main tasks within the database. The project template page is going to get taken a lot further, so you can see filtered views on whatever new project you set up of the tasks related to that project. And recurring tasks with Bardian.ai, there's a ton of great stuff. You can get them on Gumroad and on my website. As soon as they're available, you'll see them there. So sign up to the mailing list and I'll notify you when they're available. Right, I recommend you watch this video next for more on how you can use Notion to manage your notes and knowledge. And this one, if you want to see some productive tech that can really bring joy to your everyday life. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.